Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Sujata Kawade. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Zoology, Shri Shivaji Science College, Amravati. The topic for my presentation is habitat fragmentation and biodiversity. First of all, the introduction. We all know that habitats are the geographic locations of the plants and the animals which are living in association with their non-living counterparts, that is the abiotic components. Now these habitats, when they are grouped together, they form the ecosystem. The habitats may be terrestrial or they may be aquatic. The terrestrial habitats includes the forest, the grasslands, the tundras, etc. Whereas the aquatic habitats includes the freshwater habitats like the rivers and the lakes, and the marine water habitats like the sea and the ocean. Now, what is habitat fragmentation? Habitat fragmentation is the division of habitat into smaller or isolated fragments. The reasons for this habitat fragmentation, it may be anthropogenic or environmental. Now, habitat fragmentation involves both the loss of the habitat as well as the change in the configuration of the habitat. This loss of the habitat and the change in the configuration will lead to a reduction in the species abundance and will also ultimately result in the decline of in the global biodiversity. Now, what are the causes of habitat fragmentation? The causes may be anthropogenic factors or may be environmental factors. Anthropogenic factors, of course, includes the human interference for agriculture, urbanization, population, explosion, harvesting of natural resources for industrial production, mining, logging, etc. Now, the environmental factors which may cause these fragmentations may include the climatic change, the floods, the fire, the droughts, the volcanic eruptions, nutrient depletion, water depletion, etc. Now, here in this poster, I have shown a figure which is showing the diagrammatic representation of forest fragmentation. Now, in the first part of this diagram, we can see a forest. This forest has been represented, or it is supporting a large variety of plants and animals. In this diagram, we can see a large variety of plants are present in the forest, a variety of pollinators like the honeybees are present, then a large variety of herbivores like the zebra are present, and a large number of carnivores, that is the lion, are present. Now, all these animals and the plants, they are living in close association with each other, and they are relying for their food material on each other. Like the herbivores are depending on the autotrophs for their food material, then the carnivores are depending on the herbivores for their food material, and so on. So they are living in close association with each other. Now, here in this forest, some human interference has taken place, like a construction of a road in the middle of the forest. Now, this construction of the road in the middle of the forest, it causes loss of certain species of plants and animals. Then the fragmented forest part, it contains smaller populations of plants and animals. Initially, the forest contained a large variety of plants and animals. Now, after fragmentation, the larger populations of plants and animals are converted into smaller populations. On the right side of the fragmented forest, we can see a single zebra is present and 2 lions are present, meaning there will be a competition for the food material between these animals at the same trophic level for the purpose of food. So this will also reduce the larger populations into smaller populations. Then in the next part, we will see the impact of habitat fragmentation. Now, when the fragmentation is taking place in the forest, it is the forest fragmentation. The fragmentation or human interference or environmental interference might also take place in the aquatic environment, like the river, that is the river fragmentation, the lake fragmentation, etc. Now, habitat fragmentation also produces edge effects. Edge effects meaning the fragmented portion of the forest or the aquatic environment, the animals and the plants are repeatedly getting exposed to human interference, meaning this human and animal interaction may lead to the reduction in the species abundance. In case of habitat fragmentation also, the larger populations of plants and animals, they are converted into smaller populations. Now, the smaller populations which are caused will cause inbreeding, which will reduce the species fitness. It is because of the expression of the deleterious alleles. Also, the smaller populations would reduce the genetic diversity, causing a genetic drift. The smaller population of animals will also have less number of adaptations, and there will be a reduction in the plant-pollinator interactions. Also, the fragmentation affects the animal behavior. For example, we can take the example of the fishes. The fishes, some of the fishes which might be living in the rivers, they have a tendency, or they are having a behavior of migrating from one part of the river to the other part of the river. But due to the construction of a dam in the path of a river, the running water of the river is converted into the stagnant water of a lake. Then the fish species which have a tendency to breed in the running waters are not able to breed in the stagnant waters of the lake. So this is how the behavior of the animals as well as the plants are affected. Now, habitat fragmentation and climate change goes hand in hand. That is, habitat fragmentation might cause climate change. Also, a climate change can also result in habitat fragmentation. All these factors will ultimately affect the human beings. So, it can be said that habitat fragmentation is one of the reasons for the extinction of the species and the loss of biodiversity. Finally, the conclusion. Now, here in the present study, I have given some restoration measures for the conservation of biodiversity. So, in the present study, it has been suggested that creating awareness by educating people about the importance of natural habitat and biodiversity becomes important. Also, the role of individual for protecting the ecosystem and the environment as a whole also is important. Reducing the human populations and reducing the climate change are also important. Protecting the remaining intact sections of the natural habitat and creating certified wildlife habitats can also reduce the effect of habitat fragmentation. Creating eco-friendly bridges which can connect these fragmented areas and development of buffer zones around the fragmented areas can reduce the edge effects which are produced by the process of fragmentation. Finally, a strict legal action becomes very important for reducing the effects of habitat fragmentation. So this is my presentation about habitat fragmentation and biodiversity. Thank you.